Someone explain how it's supposedly fall now, but yet it's 95 degrees outside. Hello everyone, how's it going? My name is Elias, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing my fall TBR. So I think I have around 10 books. A lot of them are short. I just wanted to keep it relatively simple and easy, like a slight breeze to get through, you know? After reading like 17 books in 24 hours, where pretty much all of them were all like under 300 pages, I just pretty much have a newfound love for any book that's under 250 pages. Like that is a golden sweet spot there. Also, by the way, if you guys haven't, shared your book recommendations yet, on the community post, I asked everyone, what are some bookish recommendations that you would recommend to me to read, because I'm going to be doing a video reading my subscribers' book recommendations and see if y'all have taste or not. I know taste is subjective, but we'll see. So before we get further into the video, I would kind of like to thank today's video sponsor, Ana Luisa. So this is really cool. I'm really hyped because Ana Luisa asked me to become their newest brand ambassador, and I couldn't say no. Actually, before working with them, I was already a customer of Ana Luisa. I love all of their jewelry, their timeless classic look. They're usually available in 2 distinct colors, either silver or gold. I was in my rose gold and gold era when I had long blonde hair. If you know, you know, back in the day, but now I'm pretty much in my silver era now. Their jewelry itself is a lot more affordable, starting at like $39, especially comparing to the long-lasting and high-quality pieces that they have to offer. And one of the more important things is that their entire brand is carbon neutral and climate neutral certified, offsetting 100% of their carbon footprint. So Ana Luisa sent me 3 pieces, and I'm wearing one of the pieces right now. I'm wearing the Rocks Mini Silver. Love the way it looks, love the rectangular shape that they have to offer. I'm also wearing on my right ear the Nate Silver. I like how small and compact it is, especially since I have bigger ears than most people. It just fits and sits well on the cusp of my outer ear. Last but not least, I was in the mood in the market to look for some necklaces, and Ana Luisa did not disappoint. I got the Temple Silver. It came with 2 chains. One of them is just a plain silver chain, and the other one sort of has like this lovely green pendant on it. I chose silver because it pretty much goes well with everything that I have and own, and it's super versatile. So if you guys are interested and you guys want to get your own pieces, I have a link and code down below that you can use to get 20% off with Elias20. Again, everything will be linked down below, and thank you once again to Ana Luisa for sponsoring today's video. So there isn't much like of a whole theme going on for this TBR. A lot of these books I chose deliberately, purposely, because it came under 300 pages. So some of these are shorts. A lot of them are like literary fiction. We have some fantasy and also some thrillers in here because I really want to get back into the thriller reading game. And I know I have been saying this for quite a while now, like a broken machine and a robot, but I don't know what it is with thrillers these days. They just have not piqued my interest anymore like they did 2 or 3 years ago. I feel like the genre itself is a bit stale. Maybe I need to dive into like more horror-esque books, maybe more mystery, I don't know, than thrillers, because they all sound the same. There's one genre though of thriller that I will pretty much never pick up anymore, and that is like a domestic thriller, because how many times can you tell that story over and over in like different lens without it being repetitive? But if you guys have any, I don't know, good recent thriller recommendations, knowing my taste from past videos that you've watched on my channel, please let me know, because I'm in need and dire search of a good thriller book. So I guess we can start off with thriller. Pira. So I guess we can start off with some thrillers and one horror book on here that I have for this list. So first up, we have Hurricane Season by Fernando Melchor. All I know about this one is that it's barely 200 pages, and it's about a body of a witch that is found in a small village that causes havoc and panic. So I have a really sweet spot for books about witches, especially books that take themselves seriously regarding like the witches in general. The last good witchy book that I read was probably Hex, and this was also another translated book as well. And I thought it was really creepy, really well done. The story itself revolving around a small town that once you move, you can't ever leave. And it's also about a witch who just walks around town with her eyes and mouth sewn shut until obviously someone stupidly cuts them loose. So yeah, I can't wait to read how all hell will break loose here, and I love the cover. All right, so for this next one, I'm picking it up because I've heard pretty much every bad thing about it. And this is Baby Teeth by Zoje Stage. So Cindy has read this, and I think she made like a whole dedicated video about it. I never watched it because I wanted to read it first, and almost everyone that I know I'm friends with, like on Goodreads and here on BookTube, has really hated this book or just considered it really mid and average. However, I feel like I want to be part of, like, you know, that 1% who really loved it, just out of spite, giving it 5 out of 5 stars. But I probably know that would never happen. It's pretty much about a demon child and how she's pretty much an evil little bitch, the devil reincarnated, and she is committing all of these heinous deeds only in the eyes of the mother. Of course, we have that classic syndrome of not believing the mother in this case. We'll see how this goes. I'll let you guys know, but I'm really excited to get into this one. All right, so the next book that I want to read is Tokyo Express, and this is a Japanese translated novel, and this is by Seicho Matsumoto. Pretty sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but this is also extremely short. It follows the death of a young couple on a rocky beach and the circumstances that happen afterwards, where 2 detectives don't believe that their deaths were an accident or a suicide, but a murder. Say hi to the camera. What do you have to say? So these next set of books I actually don't own or have, but they all sound pretty interesting. A lot of fantasy on here. First up, we have The End of Lonliness by Benedict Wells. And this, according to Google, is about a kaleidoscope family saga told through the fractured lives of 3 Moreau siblings alongside a faltering, recovering love story. So pretty much we're following the POV of 3 distinct siblings, one main central sibling after the death of their parents in a terrible car accident, and they're all attending like this boarding school, and one of them becomes best friends with this young girl. However, they sort of have a falling out, and then 15 years later, I guess they're like recounting their past lives with their current status in life at the moment. So that's pretty much all I know. This book is also relatively short, coming in at 272 pages. Fun fact, I was doing some research after reading one of my all-time favorite books in the 24-hour reading challenge, Swimming in the Dark. And I wanted to read more books that would sort of give me that nostalgic, heavy-hitting factor, you know, just a little sad, a little depressing, because if you know me, I love depressing books, even though these days I'm going through a little depression myself, but that's okay, because it's why I read these books. So I was just looking at books similar in the vein, similar in the vibes of Swimming in the Dark, and also Lie With Me by Philip Besson. And this one, The End of Lonliness, the cover really caught my eye. I really like books that have gray covers, like Hana Yanagihara's A Little Life, the paperback edition. They sort of have this melancholy of muted sadness to it, which I'm really drawn towards. I don't know how to describe it, but this popped up, and this one is a German translated book. The cover caught my eye, and so did the title, The End of Loneliness. So, all right, so the next book on this TBR is If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English. Immediately, I saw this book, I think, while browsing on Amazon. It is just such a both subtle and heavy-handed like message and a title in of itself. And so I thought it was just really intriguing, and I was very interested. And it follows these 2 different people. One is an Egyptian-American woman, and it's basically just told in alternating perspectives. From the blurb itself, from what I can gather, it's basically examining an abusive relationship and the dynamics of power in such a relationship. Sounds pretty interesting to me, and the title and cover itself, chef's kiss. So the next book I want to read, I also found while looking for books similar with The Cat Who Saved Books. One of my all-time favorite books of all time. It was just so fucking good. I also read this for the 24-hour reading challenge. So magical, so pure and wholesome, and just so empathetic and compassionate. I don't know, I just love the writing in that one. So I wanted to find more books in that vein, right? And so I found this book called If Cats Disappeared from the World. And this one is really interesting because it's about a postman in his late 30s who finds out that his days are numbered because of a brain tumor. One day he is granted a magical ultimatum. In exchange for making one thing in the world disappear, he will be granted an extra day in his life. So already it sounds super introspective, super wholesome, and already I can smell it being a good one. All right, so now we're moving on into fantasy, and I'm really excited to read this one, and it's called Gods of the Wordwood by R.J. Barker. This one sounds really interesting. It's about a young woman who has to sort of find like the safe passage through a magical forest, through these dangerous woods. And there's only one man alive who basically knows the woods and the creatures in there like the back of his hand. However, with his secret, mysterious past, it allows him to sort of traverse these magical, dangerous forest with like these different creatures and how they behave and interact with one another. So I love reading fantasy books, especially in the setting that is like a forest. Like honestly, it all stems from Cape's Water, from the Raven Cycle. a magical forest, ley lines, trees that can speak Latin. So this one is an adult fantasy, deals with a magical, dangerous forest with magical, dangerous creatures inside of it, and two people have to go and traverse through it while finding different things along the way. All right, so this next one is sort of like a low-key, medieval, ancient Roman Empire inspired fantasy, and this one is called The Will of the Many by James Islington. And I actually found this one through Goodreads, and it sounded really interesting, had a really cool rating, but then I saw Reagan from Bruce Project really giving this a lot of hype, a lot of praise, 5 out of 5 stars, and so I was very intrigued. And from the plot, this one is already giving me an Ember in the Ashes vibes. It's about this young man named Vis who plans to infiltrate the hierarchy of the Empire in order to get revenge for his family, who were all killed by the Empire. And so he has to traverse dangerously through politics, games of warfare, climb to the top to tear everything apart and down. Really excited to read this because I'm also getting some vibes of academia, because he has to sort of infiltrate and be a part of like this elite school as well. So sounds pretty good to me. So this next book is really interesting because it's YA. And so this one is called A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. Primarily follows a girl who believes in fairy tales, just like I do, right? And she owns like this copy of a book from this renowned author who writes fairy tales. One day, the family decides that they want to redesign his house, like his estate. And she's like, you know what? I'm gonna be a girl boss and I'm gonna enter in this competition and win, which is, you know, great, good for her. However, when she gets there, she obviously meets her lover and her rival who wants to expose the author as like some fraud. However, they soon discover there is a lot more than meets the eye at this gothic mansion. So it's part historical fantasy, part rivals to lovers romance, part gothic mystery, and it's all haunting, dreamlike, atmospheric. So I'm definitely here for it. It sounds really cool. So this next book, also YA, but super, super hyped, and it's talked about everywhere. Everyone has pretty much read it by now, and it has blown up not only on Book Talk, but on BookTube as well. And this is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. So I've seen this book pretty much everywhere. I'm pretty sure you guys have read it. I've heard a lot of really interesting things about it. I've heard where people are saying it's like pro-military, it's bad, it's terribly written, there's like no plot. The characters are shallow, one-dimensional, and I've heard other people giving it 5 out of 5 stars, saying, you know, not to go into it too seriously, you know, it's just YA fantasy, a book about dragons. And so I'm sort of like in the middle. I'm not too keen on reading this book like analytically. I'm not here to just read to bash Fourth Wing. I'm actually genuinely interested in reading it because Sarah over from Sarah's NH gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and we both have such divisive and diverse opinions on, you know, the same books that we read. And so I'm very interested to see how far along I fall on the spectrum of either really liking or really hating it or just thinking it's mid. I did read like another overhyped Book Talk book called The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and I thought it was okay. It wasn't like the worst thing I ever read. I did have fun, especially towards the end, but it was okay, right? I mean, I have read worse books coming out of like Book Talk recommendations. So yeah, that'll be on this list. Please let me know if you have read it. What did you guys think about it? Okay, so last but not least, on my fall TBR, we have The Rain Wild Chronicles by Robin Hobb. If you guys did not know, Robin Hobb is legitimately one of my favorite all-time fantasy authors of just all goddamn time. I love her so much. Her writing is just so exquisite. Her world building, her story, the characters. The Realm of the Elderlings, this series, pretty much my favorite fantasy series of all time. This is the 4th set, the quartet in this entire series, second to last before the final trilogy. There are 4 separate trilogies plus this quartet in the entire series, and I have pretty much read half of it already. So I have this set of 4 books plus the last trilogy to read and finally complete The Realm of the Elderlings. I don't know if I will complete the entire series this year, just because I do know that this will be a little chore getting into, because while it does follow a familiar cast, it is just completely different from just the entirety of the series overall. I really loved all the books. They've really all surprised me. Even though we're following these different characters, I've actually made separate videos talking about each trilogy with spoilers and non-spoilers if you guys wanted to check it out. But I am just telling you, please do yourself a favor and go read the series. Start with The Assassin's Apprentice first, that trilogy with Fitz. Yes, I know it's very slow moving, but you're really getting the juicy, the intricate details of just all these beautiful characters and just the world building. Like in the first trilogy, we're following like this one central main character from his point of view, you know, at this one keep, this one location. The second trilogy follows magical ships, dragons, sea serpents in a different part of the world. However, consequences, actions, and repercussions from both parties sort of have like this really cool ripple effect just all around the entire world. And I just fucking love that. I love it when some characters perform like some minuscule action in their part of the world that has just huge rippling effects in a different part of the world. And it is just such a beautiful thing to read when it all comes together. And the third trilogy sort of comes back to Fitz in his world and advancing beyond that as well, with just so much more action and adventure and just secrets in general, and I loved it. This one, however, the Rainwild Chronicles, sort of goes back with the characters from the minor characters from the second trilogy. It's a little confusing at first, but you just have to push through, go with it, and read it, you know, as you go. So this fourth set of books follows a group of characters in this magical, sort of like dangerous forest, all revolving around dragons and lost, forgotten cities. I have started a little bit, but you know, it's just that feeling where you just immediately want to dive back into the familiar characters and just see what they're up to. But I heard the last and final trilogy, going back to Fitz again, it's just so fucking well done. And so I'm very, very excited, but I just know the fact that I have 4 other books to get through is just, it's just a little sad. But you know what? Robin Hobb keeps surprising me in the best way possible. I have 100% faith and trust in my fantasy queen. So we'll get to it. That's basically it for my fall TBR. Please let me know what you guys plan to read. And also just a quick PSA, if you guys want to check out more exclusive content and videos from me with reading sprints, monthly movie nights, a monthly book club, and just more content in general, I have a Patreon where you can check out all of those things. The link will be listed down below. Anyways, that is pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you all soon with a new video.